to start with panel discussion on EV manufacturing, future of connected mobility. Firstly, we would like to hear from you, Mr. Gopalakrishnan. So we want to ask you, how is e-mobility reshaping EV manufacturing and what new opportunities does it present for the automakers and automotive industry as a whole?
So, like you rightly said, there is a shift that is happening, and we have been seeing this happen over the last, I think, over the last 6 years. And the talk of the town today, and the topic of the foremost, most importance is electrification and sustainable mobility, etc. So, on the manufacturing front, since I've also worked in the automotive industry before taking up this assignment with the government. Clearly, there are a lot of things, a lot of products which were earlier, the heart of a vehicle, but right now it is no more going to be there. For example, I'm not sure if many of you know that there is a motor called the electronic throttle controller actuator, the ETC actuator. When you press the pedal of a vehicle, of the passenger vehicle, there is a signal that goes, and a motor actuates the opening of a valve, the air intake valve into the combustion chamber. So that particular actuator is no more going to be there. And similarly, there are so many other under the hood applications, exhaust gas recirculation valves, and many other applications which are just not going to be there anymore because of this, electrification. And in its place, there is going to be many more interesting and higher technology motors and higher technology products that are coming up. So certainly, it is something where research and us all the right panelists from different companies in the industry who can talk more than me. But from the government perspective, I would like to spend a couple of minutes. So we had also identified, like any other subnational or in any other state, we had also identified this trend very early on, and we were, I think, one of the first states to come up with the EV policy. So we had at that time itself understood that it is not just about the electric vehicle, but also the battery or the energy storage system. So our policy includes covers not just the EV topics, but also the energy storage and also the charging network. How we should proliferate the charging stations so that whoever is taking up or adopting the EV should not find any difficulty. So that way, we had tried to, set up a lot of stakeholder meetings and try to align with many of the industrialists, and also understood what others are doing outside India, in the West and in a little more developed countries, and then decided on what would be the main goals or main things that we should have, in our policy in place so that manufacturers look at Telangana as an investment option, and also the adoption rates go higher in the state. So that way, our framework on the adoption side and on on the supply side incentives that we give everyone, I think most of India have said that it is a very comprehensive policy, and the main aim of the policy was to achieve about 4 billion USD of investments, generating about 1.2 lakh of jobs in this field. So over here, I think we've already almost touched 3 billion USD. That is about 22 or 23,000 crores of investments over the last 3 years. The policy was in place in 2020. So to that effort, we had been able to achieve what we had to. And later we also thought that this is not sufficient, because we thought this would take us about 10 years, but in 3 years we could achieve almost about 70% of it. So that is when we thought we should come up with something more, and that is called Telangana Mobility Valley.
Yeah, certainly, Mr. Gopalakrishnan. That was quite a lot on the insight of the EV industry as well as government perspective. We would hear more about you when we proceed. Mr. Keshav Sen, what are your views about the EV?
EV has come to a point where now India is all set to indigenize, all set to localize. Plus, the government is giving thrust And incidentally, my first job in the EV sector was in Telangana, Hyderabad. I was CEO for MLR Auto. And nice to see Sachin Wagh here. My first vehicle prototype we made for Science Congress was with FEV. And that time Mr. Berry used to be there. Coming back to the point of EV, my only submission here is EV is also a vehicle. That means electric vehicle is a vehicle which need to have the basics of vehicle, whether it's safety, reliability, durability, affordability, total cost of operation, etc. And I think Vikas was talking about in 10 years' time, the small timers will go away because big guns, big guys will come to the market with technology, volume, scale, etc., etc. So it is to be understood very, very clearly. The vehicle has to be understood as a proposition to the financier first, because financier is going to see for the residual value, he's going to fund the vehicle. What I'm trying to say here is that EV will sustain only when we have a product which suits the customer's pocket, customer's performance, financiers like that it will last for 10 years or 15 years. Suppose somebody is not paying the EMI, I take the vehicle and repossess it, and I can't sell it and take out any value of it. Why should I fund it? So the point I'm trying to make here is the time has come in India to realize EV is future. Huge volume will be required, anybody's guess. But the smaller and medium-sized players should also understand the big guys are going to come in with technology, with economy of scale. Hence, it's important to produce vehicle at the right cost and right quality, which suits the customer. We are not here to fantasize the customer by giving so many whatever gadgets and additional kind of features. So my point today, I'll be discussing more on this. And nice meeting you all. I had stint in Tata Motors for 30 years, where I learned only one thing: the customer is really the king. Whatever we do, we can seduce anybody. But if the customer doesn't like the vehicle, he doesn't find the value proposition. Same thing goes right for EV also.
Thanks for that perspective, Mr. Sen. What are your views about EV e-mobility changing the manufacturing, Mr. Vikas Gupta?
As I mentioned, I'm a chartered accountant by qualification. So an industry which could give an opportunity for a non-technical person like me to start a venture into the EV segment. So that itself tells the importance of the industry. So it is of a great technology, but at the same time, it is not complex. So this is again a beauty of the technology, and it can give opportunity to lakhs of people who could not have thought of taking a dealership of an ICE product, of an ICE industry. The investment wherein starts in the range of about 2.5 to 3 crore rupees, whereas the investment in the EV industry, if it is a small dealership, could start even at a 7.5 to 10 lakh rupees kind of bracket. So from the perspective of India as a country, I think EV is a revolutionary industry which could give opportunity for lot many people, not only to venture as a dealer distributor, but also to venture as an OEM, which otherwise the ICE kind of industry could not have given that kind of opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Vikas. Coming to Mr. Sachin Wagh, how do you view e-mobility reshaping the EV manufacturing and the opportunities available for automotive industry as a whole?
First of all, it is very important that what is India market basically. So India market, three-wheeler is 3.5 million per year, two-wheeler 20 million, four-wheeler 3.6 million, and light commercial and small commercial vehicle is close to 0.5 million. So this is the current market portfolio which is getting operated by the all our OEMs basically from all across the industry, Indian automotive industry. Now EV is becoming the talk of the town because of the green gases and all. Everybody has committed for that. India has said that by 2070 will be the green, so carbon neutral. So most of the world across the globe, people are talking about it. Many OEMs has started this saying that I will not produce the, especially from the Western world, that will not produce diesel vehicle from 2025, 2030. So everybody has set the benchmark for that. We are very fortunate that when BS4 to BS6 done, the entire industry got shaked actually. How it is possible in 2 years? And nothing is impossible for India. We are seeing a lot of developments and we are seeing a lot of technologies and all our Indian brains, how they are making the changes into the marketplaces. And we did in within the shortest possible time, we moved from BS4 to BS6. Exactly same thing is going to happen for the electrification also. We are going to surprise the marketplace. It's ample opportunities. And as of now, if you can really look at it, all the tier ones which are coming from the Western world, who are multinationals, they have already adopted this change for India market since last 5 years. Now we are getting realized it. Because the current penetration for the complete EV market is not more than 5%. But government is very hardly pushing to 30% by 2030. And 2026, we signed one treaty that will aim for the 30% market share for this. So if you can really look at it, the new dimensions, new product portfolio, and Mr. Keshav has already seen, because I'm also ex Tata Motors for 15 years. So I know the customer is the king. We cannot make the vehicles which are showing the technological demonstrations. No, it should be a practical cars, and market. India is a full of market of opportunities. So I think EV will change the entire world dynamics. So that is what is my submission on to start with, and slowly we can enter into the more the technical and business opportunities we can discuss.
Thank you, Mr. Sachin, for sharing your opinion. Coming back to Mr. Gopalakrishnan, you're talking about the government support which Telangana has received since 2020. So what government support EV manufacturing should meet the increasing demand for EVs? And what are your views about it? Like Mr. Sachin was mentioning it, they are keeping a target of 30% market share of EV in the industry.
Absolutely. Yeah. So see, in our case, what we have done is on the adoption side, we have defined some volumes against each of these vehicle segments. So for example, if it is a two-wheeler, up to 2 lakh two-wheelers was what we had defined earlier. Up to 2 lakh two-wheelers, a couple of things would be negated. So the registration fee would be avoided and the road tax would not be included. So these are the bare minimum things which any state gives, but we had also said the same thing. And further on, for another segment being the autos, the three-wheelers, electric three-wheelers. So here also for say 20,000 three-wheelers, we had said that these two things would not be considered. And for buses, I think 2,000 buses we had taken away from this particular charges. And what we had additionally included, which I think none of the other states had thought about at that time, was 2020. We had also thought of including the electric tractors into this particular policy. So we had defined some volume figure for the electric tractors also for improving the sales of it. Also, something which was at that time very nascent was the retrofitment of electric three-wheelers. So for three-wheeler retrofitment, we have said that we would give up to 15% incentive, and that also has helped a couple of companies in Hyderabad and outside to come and set up their retrofitment centers, and a lot of battery swapping centers because of this has come up in Hyderabad city. So what we are also thinking of is to improve and strengthen this framework, because that was a very, very early policy. So now we are thinking of a phase 2 for the same policy where, more pointers in improving the adoption can be looked at. For example, we are thinking of green corridors. We are thinking of parking spots just for electric vehicles.
Mhm.
And also the push towards commercial centers and IT parks for setting up charging stations. That has also I mean, that has also seen the light, and the employees, for them to move into their next vehicle as an electric vehicle, so that has improved quite a lot. So earlier there was hesitation on the distance, and how much can I go on an EV in a day, and etc. But now that particular anxiety is not there anymore, because you can see chargers in many places and even commercial establishments. So these are a few of the things we had done, and also to talk a little more on the charging station, because I think that is something which actually would give more confidence to the end user, uh, if he sees a lot of charging station around the place where he is traveling. So for that, what we did is we divided the whole area, or I'm talking more of Hyderabad and couple of other tier one towns only, not the whole of Telangana, but at least the main city of Hyderabad and a couple of other Warangal and Nizamabad. We had divided the city into blocks of 3 by 3 kilometers, and in every 3 by 3 kilometer we wanted at least one charging station. So with that, we had identified about 600 such locations where also the upstream power was available, and there would be no further hindrance in timelines for a private player to come and set up charging station. So that has also come up very well, because the first 2 or 3 biddings, tenders were out, and there were some private companies that applied for it, and they've got a sufficient number of locations. And so therefore that is also giving a lot of confidence to the end user to move into their next vehicle, to establish the next vehicle as an electric vehicle. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, Mr. Gopalakrishnan. Thanks a lot for sharing such a knowledge, including battery charging. And there was a question in the Q&A box. What's the policy of government on EV ride hailing services, technology-driven app-based? From Mr. Sunil from Electric Mobility CEO, Hyderabad.
Okay. No, so see, for the ride hailing guys, normally what happens is it is all based on a platform or an app. So for now, we have few more. I mean, quite a few of these players. I mean, Hala Mobility is one, Tride Mobility is one. I know I myself know about 10 of them. But the point is, we don't have any statement in our policy for now which can directly link to the gig ecosystem, because most of these platforms, the utilization would be on for someone who is delivering something like Zomato, the other food apps that are there. So we have not yet brought in anything, but something majorly what we found after a few of the discussions over the last 1 year was that these vehicles sometimes are less than 25 kilometer per hour, or sometimes are beyond that. And sometimes registration of the same becomes a trouble. So when it is less than 25 kilometer per hour, there is no way you can register that particular two-wheeler model. And if you don't register, that means it doesn't have an identity. So such platform companies that have such a platform, right, ride hailing platform, they find it very difficult to then kind of ID their vehicle. There could be theft that happens, and then how do they prove that something has been stolen? So such issues are cropping up. So this is actually a central level decision where there are rules, CMVR rules, motor vehicle rules, which will need some kind of a modification. But I'm sure that at the center, with the support of other think tanks like Niti Aayog, they must also be in discussion, to bring some kind of a solution to this problem. But otherwise, if there is any other issue, I mean, I understand that the question was posed by someone in Hyderabad. So if there is any issue in Hyderabad or something, some kind of a suggestion, we are happy to hear and work on it.
Yeah, definitely, Mr. Gopalakrishnan. I think Mr. Sunil would have been satisfied with this answer. So proceeding further, Mr. Keshav, please discuss the future of EV manufacturing and its spare part market in the automotive industry.
That's a very interesting question, because one of the first things which comes to mind, and I think Sachin was talking about number of components going down. So spare parts industry in EV may not be that great to start with, in the sense As compared to hundreds of parts in IC, the EV parts are far too less. Plus, electronics repair, as we all know, is like likho and feko. You just use it and throw it kind of thing. But nonetheless, EV will hugely depend on the availability of certain parts, particularly wear and tear parts, and some of the electrical parts which should be, of short life or unpredictable life. At the same time, the service of EV will take a new shape because now EVs are connected. Very soon we'll stop calling it EV and we call it connected vehicle or e-mobility, whatever you call. The vehicle may be intelligent enough to predict its own failure, particularly four-wheelers and big trucks, and caution you that, yes, I'm going to go down on such as 15th of January. Why don't you arrange the parts or something like that? There are two things I'm trying to tell. One, the reliability will be higher, supposed to be higher. Number of parts supposed to be lower. At the same time, with the help of digital transformation, with the help of technology, the wait and watch thing, what we saw all our lives, how your break nahi hai, come after 3 days and get it replaced and all that. I even heard that Tesla had issues of parts availability, spare parts availability. So now they have predictive model on board where it can kind of warn the nearby dealer that this customer might come to you, because then customer also comes to know that he might be required to go to a particular dealer. So whole shape is changing, not only because of EV, because of connectivity, because of digitization, and service will be totally a different shape altogether. It will not be like I am a Tata Motors. I worked in service for 11 years, and we used to run to the spot and repair the vehicle and all those things. Those things may not be so much required with a lot of technology on board coming in. So in short, a market is going to change. A lot of people have concern what will happen, because today auto market is $54 billion. Okay, even I will slash it to 1/4. So that's a huge slash, So that will be a concern, but there will be other things which are coming up, parallel businesses coming up to support this ecosystem.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Sen, for the insights. Mr. Sachin, how do you look at this industry of its spare parts?
Yeah. So first of all, I would like to address two things. I am very much tempted when Mr. Gopal was talking about the subsidies and all these government initiatives. So I was studying the report in the afternoon. There was a sharp dip after May in two-wheeler, all across electric, especially for two-wheelers. One find it was gone up to 28,000 for one of the leading OEM from two-wheeler, and in June it has come down to 18,000. So many of the state has stopped the subsidies, and that has impacted the buyers' decisions. Now it is picking up. June was the lowest. July was further better, and then August onwards now it will try to improve upon, because here total cost of ownership is very, very important for when we are looking at acquisition cost and operating cost. And Mr. Keshav also said that his spare parts and services, I think altogether different models will evolve out of it. The technology front, people are already working upon the digital twins. Okay, so digital twin is a technology is coming up for because of this electronics. So much electronics are involved. It's not only the connected car. The people we are talking at that electrical electronics on the wheels, okay, or car on the wheels, like this, hardware or software on wheels. These are kind of technologies are coming up for these vehicles. So digital twin is one of the technology which is going to help for the services for the spare parts, especially the conventional spare parts always will be there, like tires, brakes, suspensions. They are not going to go away from these cars or vehicles. They're always there. But the lot of electronics are involved, especially electrical aggregates. There is a hardly any failures. If the failures are comes through, they are only for because of the software's malfunctions. Okay, and those signals are very much captured in the cloud, and data analytics team can see it. Even from the distance they can repair your vehicle if their software bugs can be identified. So such models, so as $54 billion industry that cannot be dented, the different model will be evolved. May not be in the in terms of hardware, but in terms of software, different models will be evolved for the serviceability of it. So spare parts and all, certainly hardware will reduce. But industry is going to remain the same in terms of the overall market potential.
That's quite a nice views, Mr. Sachin. Mr. Vikas, Mr. Keshav was mentioning he was mentioning something about the technology. So what AI-driven robots and automated systems, they increase the efficiency in assembly processes. So how are automakers utilizing AI and machine learning to streamline electric vehicle manufacturing?
So I would say that today the volume is not that high. In order for us to use the AI technology for the electric vehicle assembling, there is barely any kind of manufacturing which is happening in the country in the EV industry. It is purely an assembling which is happening, and if at all there is manufacturing happening for some component, it is the same components which are being used in the IC technology, which is being used here in the EV technology. Now, AI is gonna be useful once the volume increases. Today, the volume, if I may talk about say four-wheeler industry, it is somewhere around 35,000 per month. If I talk about the three-wheeler industry, the volume is somewhere around 1.5 to 2 lakh vehicles. And if I talk about the two-wheeler industry, it is again somewhere around 2 to 2.5 lakh of vehicles per month. Now, with that kind of volume, there is barely any need to deploy a technology like AI in the assembling or even in the manufacturing process. But definitely, once the volume increases, the technology is going to take away the manual working, and then it will also improve the precision level at which the assembling or the manufacturing will happen in the industry.
Thanks, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your comments. So, Mr. Keshav, do you have some lines to say about this?
I always
AI.
thought, yes, I will. And I would like to compliment the OEM update for having such a wonderful panel, because I always felt EV has to be understood from the chartered accountant's view. And I really like what Mr. Vikas Gupta is putting on the table. While we are fascinated with technology, we have to see the return of investment and the volumes. And perhaps we would like to see more chartered accountants as CEO of EV companies rather than technocrats like me. Because artificial intelligence in my paper, when I present, I'll be talking about it. That can be helpful in decision making. Like that can be helpful, like suppose supply chain, and there's a fluctuation in demand, there's a fluctuation in the supply chain, there's a fluctuation in the cost of a particular source from somewhere. So analytics and AI can be used there. The quality front, as Sachin was talking about, digital twin, etc. So there's a limited use in manufacturing. AI will jump a little later. But in the decision making, in the forecasting, in costing, pricing, I would definitely highly recommend analytics and AI, because you see today the industry of automobile is almost 100 years old. The first assembly line the Ford got was 1928. So that's very matured. We know how the fluctuation will take, the cyclicity and all that will take place. But in EV, we don't know. As somebody just now said, from 28,000, it fell down to 15,000 with subsidies were withdrawn. In such cases, AI and analytics will be very much required to make a flexible manufacturing. Suppose Vikasji has aggregator, suddenly place order on somebody. He should be sharp enough to give the supplies to the aggregator very fast and go back to low inventory, go back to lesser manpower, etc. This is only possible when you integrate your MIS, your ERP, everything with analytics and AI, and also in the quality front, machine learning, etc. will be used. So when I present my paper for 10 minutes, I'll be talking about these technologies.
Yes. Thank you very much. So there's a one open questions. So what advancement in connecting mobility should EV manufacturers focus into their production?
I'll present it in my paper, and I will simplify to like this, as Vikasji said, that it is function of volume. It is absolutely function of volume, function of economy of scale. And we all know the simplest formula of return of capital employed, that we should not be holding too much of capex. And that's the caution I always give to people after running 4 years of company in Hyderabad. We should be very cautious about the capex, about the capital employed, and automation and all these technologies should be only used, will be used, I should say. I think that can be used in simulation. It can be used for validation, testing, quality, etc., etc. For manufacturing, let's wait for some more time to come to that kind of automation, where it will be everything will be streamlined and it will be manless factory and things like that.
Thank you very much for that insight. Uh, so I would take a quick liner from each and every one of you about the future of connected mobility. Mr. Gopalakrishnan, I think
I feel that is going to be the future, and hoping to see a lot more companies switch towards software side on the tech, or even in manufacturing.
thank you, Mr. Gopalakrishnan. Mr. Sachin, can we have your views, please?
I can only say that this is the full of opportunities. So nobody, just one person, one manufacturing role, AI in manufacturing. I think there are many technology like Industry 4.0, which has already been taken place, and that is happening all across the globe now, and India is also part of it. So we have already taken the first step for that. A lot of interventions has been removed from person's intervention, and it's the moment, the volume, and it's not EV specific. That can be AI role will be not only for EV, even for any manufacturing industry. So automotive industry, I don't think so. It will be we are a growing market. Today volume is 3.6 million. In 2030, expected to produce to 6.4 million vehicles. And 2035, it is going to be 10 million. I am talking only about the passenger cars. So if you can look at the total market size, it's going to 3 times. So for that matter, all the AI is certainly going to come even for IC engine applications of the vehicles. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
definitely.
full of opportunities. All the technocrats, all the business visionaries like Mr. Vikaji. So don't worry. I'll give the example. I am giving the consultancy for startups for vehicle developments. They are computer engineers. They come from IIT Mumbai, IIT Madras, and they are the founders and CEOs of it. So I think it becomes also very difficult for us to talk about the mechanical language. So don't worry. I think it is very simplified world, and anybody can become the entrepreneur for this opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Sachin. What are your views about Mr. Vikas?
Yeah. So I would give two examples of it. So I call this electric cycle as the product of the decade. So what happens is that all of us are becoming health freak these days, and in this search of health freaking, we generally drive a cycle if we get an opportunity to drive a cycle 2 kilometers, and then ultimately we as well as the cycle comes back on an auto. Now, this electric cycle is the best solution for that, because you can drive the way as much as your heart is allowing you to drive. And then thereafter, either you switch to a pedal assist mode, wherein the half of the power will be provided by the motor and half by your pedal, or you can switch to the motor mode. So that's one example which I want to give in terms of technology. The other example is we are primarily into two-wheeler segment, and in the two-wheeler segment, the kind of features that we give at a cost of about 50,000 rupees vehicle are as good as you get in a luxury car. So the navigation feature or the sensors which are being used in this technology at a cost of just 50,000 rupees. there is a sensor called the side stand sensor. So if the side stand is not put off, then the vehicle will not move at all. These kind of sensor at such a low value of the vehicle are beyond your imagination. The back gear in a two-wheeler at a price of about 50,000 rupees. Can you imagine that in the ICE technology? You can't imagine it. The other feature is, say, repair switch. If your vehicle gets stuck because of some or the other reason, you simply push that repair switch and then you get the entire of the system restarted the way you restart your laptop or your desktop, and then it will at least take you to the nearest point wherein you can get it repaired or serviced. So these are few features which until and unless the EV technology came into the picture were beyond the imagination for a two-wheeler rider.
Thank you very much for sharing such a vast knowledge. So coming to you lastly about the future of connected mobility, Mr. Keshav Singh, what are your views?
See, the future is something which is very interesting subject, but I love the question you frame. You said connected vehicle, not electrical vehicle. Let's understand this. That means it's possible the electrical vehicle may be replaced by hydrogen or something else we don't know. Second bigger question here is the 58% of the power generation in India is done by coal. What are we doing? We're polluting the atmosphere anyway. And in the city, we are pretending that we are saving the atmosphere. The question rises here, until we have renewable energies, we replace coal, then it makes a huge amount of sense for being carbon neutral. Otherwise, you're burning coal somewhere and then you're making it electric vehicle for the city. Second, I was going through the chat and I will skip it and skip the queue and answer that question. What is the future of electric vehicle trucks? Now, this question a gentleman has asked, and I really appreciate this question. This question has the answer to your question. Till the time it doesn't come to trucks or last mile, connectivity, we will not be reaching the EV era at all. You see, now Tesla has launched the truck. I'm waiting to see the specifications. When the truck comes, we say we have reached somewhere because the battery weight is so high today, per kg weight is so high. And when it comes to trucks means the battery weight will come down, has to come down. More energy has to be packed or you generate energy on board. Now let me explain what is energy on board. The oldest EV, what we have seen is actually diesel locomotive. If you carefully think, since our childhood, we are traveling by diesel locomotive. It is nothing but EV. It generates electricity on board with the help of diesel, and then it goes to traction motor. That survived. Why it survived? Because it was generating on board, right? So what point I'm trying to make is until unless these issues are solved, trucks EV will take time to come, or trucks will take the current from the, just like electric train from the top or pantograph, whatever it is. But till the time we do not penetrate the truck segment, EV is unlikely to be successful because the battery weight, cost, etc., etc., etc. So future is bright. I'm trying to make it short and summarize the whole thing. Until we crack these problems of coal, weight, and cost, future is still a little far from us. We have to crack these issues. Then only making lakhs of two-wheelers will not solve the mobility problem actually. Until you make the truck, bigger cars, and solve the problem of onboard generation, etc., then this future is excellent. There is no doubt about it.
Definitely, Mr. Singh. Thanks a lot for your comments. That makes sense.